it's going to be pretty predictable where they're going to be out because they're going to be in the eddies. And just find a ditch, find a big stump, and they're going to be behind that. Road beds. Once you get towards the lower end, Bear Creek, there are a ton of road beds on the Pickwick Lake chain. And they might be in 6 to 10 foot of water, but it's a great stopping location for these fish coming off of spawn. And they're players all the way through the fall and the winter. In the winter, we throw Alabama rigs on the road beds. In the summer, we're throwing jigs, shaky heads, and Carolina rigs. And then, of course, the ledges, but I have actually a whole slide for the ledges for you guys. So we're going to move on. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about how to fish dams. And this is one of my bread and butter techniques. It's how I just won my first Bass Pro Series event on Watts Bar. And I was actually fishing the high side of the dam. And that's a place that not a lot of people think to fish. Everyone knows to fish the low side, but the high side is a very viable place to catch bass during the right times of the year. My favorite 2 times are when fish are relating to vertical structure, which is in the summer and in the winter going into the spawn. So it just gives them a great place to slide up when it's warm and go deep when it's cold. And there's always a plethora of bait for these fish to gorge on. So in the winter at the dams, swim bait and Alabama rig. And you really just got to match the hatch. In the wintertime, they tend to eat the little ones like the 2.8 Kitex, the 3.5 True Bass swim baits, and also a jerkbait. A jerkbait. And it's kind of cool that I'm on Bass U right now talking about this, but I'm going to tell a story. It was 2008, 2009. I fished my first tournament as a co-angler, and I had read on Ike Anelli's website about long pause jerkbaiting, and he was talking about the X-Wrap 10, I believe, and he's talking about Glass Ghost and some other colors, and I didn't own one. I was reading it the night before, so I rigged up a spinning rod with 8-pound line. I'm fishing my boater. I kid you not, I find a Glass Ghost jerkbait come floating by the boat at about 10:30 a.m., and I only had like 1 4-pound smallmouth. I was like, I'll tie it on and try it here in a little while if I don't catch anything. So time goes on. Tie that jerkbait on, throw it out there. I do what Ike says, rip it down 4 times, and I start counting. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and I'm planning is to count to 15. At 12, it ticks and just takes off. It's a 6'12" largemouth. I got goosebumps talking about it, and I was like, oh my God, it worked. And so my boater's like, he nets it, and he looks at me, he's like, oh my God, what did you just do? And he's like, you just got the big bass on the co-angler side. And so that just gave me all the confidence in the world. So the rest of the tournament, I'm jerking it down and counting to 15, and then I'm jerking it twice, counting to 10, jerking it twice, counting to 15. And long story short, I caught 18 pounds out of the back of the boat, long pausing a jerkbait. And it's probably one of the best techniques for pre-spawn around the dams. And that was just my start of the jerkbait journey. But since then, I've learned it's a player in shad spawn, it's a player in the fall, it's a player in the spring and the winter. It's just something that really tends to stay on my deck, especially with active target. And when you get in those eddy sections of the dams, you can really use active target with a jerkbait and a swim bait to catch those fish. So, kind of got off there, but the biggest thing you can do is learn the lay of the land. If you've never fished any of these dams, put your rods down for an hour, 2 hours, and just scan back and forth. Learn where the rock piles are. Get on, before you even get to the lake, get on a satellite. Try to find an image where they're not pulling current and you can actually see the rock piles from an aerial view. Because one, this is going to give you an added benefit of safety because you're going to see some piles you shouldn't even drive near. And then you're actually see some really good fishing locations.